Ever wondered about the very first person Jesus called to be his disciple? It wasn't Peter, the rock. It was his brother, Andrew. His story is incredible, full of courage, adventure, and a quiet strength that often gets overlooked. Today, we're diving deep into the life of Andrew, the apostle who was always bringing people to Jesus. Andrew's story starts, like many great stories, by the sea. He and his brother Simon, who we know as Peter, were fishermen on the Sea of Galilee. Their lives were tough, defined by the rhythm of casting nets and hauling in their catch. But Andrew was searching for something more. He was already a follower of a fiery preacher named John the Baptist. John was preparing the way for someone greater, the Messiah, and Andrew was listening intently. One day, John the Baptist saw Jesus walking by and declared, "Behold, the Lamb of God." That was it. That was the moment everything changed for Andrew. He and another of John's disciples immediately followed Jesus. Can you imagine the curiosity, the mix of awe and nervousness they must have felt? Jesus turned and asked them, "What do you seek?" A simple question, but it cut right to the heart of Andrew's longing. They replied, "Rabbi, where are you staying?" And Jesus said, "Come and see." Andrew spent the day with Jesus, and what he saw and heard convinced him completely. He had found the Messiah. And what's the very first thing he did? He didn't keep this life-changing news to himself. He ran to find his brother, Simon. The Bible records his excited words, "We have found the Messiah." He then brought Peter to Jesus. This one act set in motion a chain of events that would change the world. This is the essence of Andrew's character. He finds something good, something true, and his immediate instinct is to share it. He's the ultimate connector. This pattern continues throughout the Gospels. While Peter, James, and John often form an inner circle with Jesus, Andrew's always there, quietly working in the background, making crucial introductions. Remember the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. The disciples were panicking. They had a massive, hungry crowd and barely any food. Philip was at a loss, saying 200 days' wages wouldn't be enough to buy bread for everyone. But then, Andrew steps forward. He says, "There is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are they among so many?" It might sound like he was doubtful, but think about it. In a moment of total confusion, Andrew was the one who found a potential solution, no matter how small it seemed. He noticed the boy with the lunch. He didn't dismiss it as impossible. He brought the small offering to Jesus. He had faith that even this little bit, in the hands of Jesus, could become something miraculous. And it did. Andrew was the bridge between a small boy's lunch and one of Jesus's most famous miracles. Another key moment happens later. Some Greeks, who were in Jerusalem for the Passover festival, wanted to see Jesus. They were outsiders, not part of the Jewish inner circle. They didn't go to Peter or John. They approached Philip. Philip seemed a bit hesitant, so what did he do? He went and told Andrew. And together, Andrew and Philip went to tell Jesus. Once again, Andrew is the go-between, the one who helps open the door for those on the outside looking in. He had a heart for bringing people, all people, to Christ. He understood that the good news wasn't just for a select few, but for the whole world. After Jesus' resurrection and ascension, the apostles were tasked with the Great Commission, to go into all the world and preach the gospel. While the Bible doesn't give a detailed account of Andrew's later journeys, church history and tradition are filled with stories of his missionary work. He didn't stay in the comfort of Jerusalem. He traveled far and wide. Tradition tells us that Andrew ventured into regions around the Black Sea, journeying through places we now know as Turkey, Georgia, and Ukraine. He is even considered the patron saint of Scotland, Romania, and Russia, a testament to the vast reach of his ministry. Imagine the courage it took to travel to these foreign lands, facing unknown cultures, languages, and dangers, all to share the story of a man he had come to know by the Sea of Galilee. These journeys were not easy. He would have faced skepticism, hostility, and persecution. He wasn't backed by an army or a wealthy organization. He had only his faith and the message of hope that had transformed his own life. The stories say he established churches, appointed leaders, and brought countless people to faith. carrying that same spirit he had from the very beginning. Come and see. The end of Andrew's life story is as powerful as its beginning. According to tradition, his missionary work eventually led him to Patras, a city in Greece. There, his preaching was so effective that it even converted the wife of the local Roman proconsul. This infuriated the governor, who ordered Andrew to be arrested and crucified. But Andrew's crucifixion was unique. He didn't see it as a defeat, but as a final honor to be like his master, Jesus. Tradition holds that he requested not to be crucified on a traditional cross, feeling unworthy to die in the exact same manner as Christ. Instead, he was crucified on a saltire, or an X-shaped cross, which has since become known as St. Andrew's Cross. Even in his final moments, his focus was on others. It is said that he hung on the cross for 2 days, and during that time, he continued to preach to the crowds that gathered, sharing the message of love and salvation until his very last breath. His death was not a silent tragedy. It was his final, powerful sermon. So what can we learn from Andrew? His legacy is not one of loud pronouncements or being in the spotlight. It's a legacy of quiet, consistent faithfulness. He teaches us the profound power of personal invitation. He didn't preach to a stadium of thousands. He started by talking to one person, his brother. He reminds us that sometimes the most world-changing thing we can do is simply say to a friend, a family member, or a stranger, "I found something amazing. Come and see for yourself." Andrew also shows us the importance of noticing the small things. He saw the boy with the loaves and fish when everyone else saw a problem. He saw an opportunity where others saw impossibility. He encourages us to look around and see what resources, what people, what small acts of faith we can bring before God, trusting that He can multiply them in ways we can't even imagine. His life is a challenge to us all, to have a faith that isn't just for ourselves, but one that we are eager to share, to have eyes that see the potential in small beginnings, and to have the courage to follow Jesus wherever He leads, whether it's to our own brother, to people from a different culture, or to the very ends of the earth. Andrew was the first apostle called, and he spent the rest of his life making sure he wouldn't be the last. He was the great connector, the introducer, the quiet force who brought people face to face with hope. His story may be less famous than some, but its impact is immeasurable. He is the patron saint of fishermen, but also the patron saint of anyone who has ever shared their faith and brought someone else to come and see. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the life of Apostle Andrew. If you found this story inspiring, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more hidden histories and powerful stories. Let me know in the comments what you find most inspiring about Andrew's life. Until next time, stay curious.